His human nature was hoping that they would call his name. But instead they said, give us the thief. Give us the murderer. Pilate couldn't believe it. He says, what must I do then with Jesus, who is called Christ? They said, let him be crucified. Governor is stunned. He said, why? What evil did this man ever do? And all they would cry is, let him be crucified. What must I do with Jesus? Pilate had to choose to accept him or reject him. But he washed his hand and said, do whatever you want to do with him. And the Roman soldiers took him away to what they call the whipping post. And they tied him. Can you see him? A soldier come, one from each end, with a whip. The whip have 13 springs, and in each spring has pieces of metal and bone. And they wheel it across his back so that the metal and bone sticks into his flesh, and then they rip it so that his flesh tears out. And you see the blood spatter and the flesh. Can you feel the pain? Can you hear him moan as lash after lash after lash penetrates his bare back? Can you see him? He is bleeding from his head because they had put a crown of thorns on his head. They mocked him. And those who for the last 3 years he had done good for were now turning on him. They were laughing at him, cussing at him, spitting on him. Jesus. And then they give him a cross. Some estimate says the cross was about 200 pounds. And they wanted him to put it on his bruised, battered back and fetch it up a steep hill. He can't make it. He falls down because the load is too heavy and the pain is too great. Can you see him? Can you see a soldier kicking him in the side and saying, get up, fetch it? And you see another one hitting him upside the head and say, come on, we don't have all day. We got to get up the hill. This is Jesus. What did he ever do to anybody but good? When he gets up the hill, they laid his torn, tattered back on the rough wood. And the soldier put a boot on his left hand and another one on the right. And they nailed a spike through his flesh into the wood. Can you feel it tearing past the flesh as it pierced the wood? Can you see the pain in his face as he gushes with agony? And you hear him scream. When they had nailed his hands and his feet, they planted the cross into a pre-dug hole so that the weight of his body jerked being held together by just hands, nails in his hands and his feet. And naked and ashamed, they left him in the hot sun to die. Every traveler passing by who didn't know who he was would think, there goes another common criminal. And those who he had helped stood below the cross, cussing at him, mocking him, daring him, taunting him. And when he opened his mouth to speak, he didn't cuss them out. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. This is the price that he paid. Why did he do it? Because he looked down through the hallways of time and he saw you. You who are a spectator in this incident. He saw you and he knew your name. And he understood that it was either you or him. He understood that if he didn't die, you would have to. Can you imagine them doing that to you? Can you imagine bearing the pain and the shame? Why did he do it? John 3:16 tells us, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And I would be remiss if I end the story right there. Because in the middle of the day, he hung his head and said, it is finished. It's over. It's done. Man's redemption is complete. And they took him off the cross and laid him in a tomb, but he didn't stay there. He went to hell and he found the devil who had all of us in bondage, and he produced his innocent blood and his broken body, and he says, here is the price of their redemption. Now give me the keys and let them go. And you can open your eyes, because the story didn't end, because early Sunday morning he got up from the grave with the keys of both death and of hell, and he says, I am he who lives and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Why did he do it? Because if he didn't do it, you would have to. So I ask you the question that Pilate asked back then. What will you do with Jesus? The Jews said, let him be crucified. The question to you is, what are you going to do with him? You only have two choices. You can accept him or you can reject him. Oh, what will you do with Jesus? The old hymn writer says, neutral you cannot be, because someday your soul is going to be asking, oh, what is he going to do with me? See, ladies and gentlemen, the last time they saw him on earth, they were battering him and killing him. The next time they will see him, he will be sitting on a throne, and before him will be gathered all the nations of the earth. And he will ask every man one by one, what did you do with the sacrifice that I made for you? And you will have to answer. You will have to answer. If you have not accepted him, then you have rejected him. Pilate tried to get out. He says, I'm not taking sides. I'm washing my hand. You cannot be neutral on this issue. You're either for him or you're against him. So I ask you in closing, what will you do with Jesus? Are you going to accept him? Or are you going to reject him? If you accepted him before, can you appreciate him more? Can you understand that without what he did, none of us would be around? Had it not been for him, we would all forever be lost. Bow your head, close your eyes, and stand to your feet. I wonder if there's anybody in the building who want to appreciate him. I wonder if there's anybody in the building who want to say thank you. Thank you that you took the pain, that you took the shame. Thank you that you didn't walk away. Thank you. Would you just lift your hands and worship him for a minute? Everybody in the building, just worship him for a minute. This is why we're here, because of what he did.
All the way, I'm going all the way. All the way, I'm going all the way.
While we're in the moment, I wonder if there's anybody here who don't know Jesus. You never accepted him, or you accepted him a long time ago and you've strayed from him. And you want to come back. If you're here, come with me. Come. Let me pray for you. Don't reject him like they did.